Pokemon Black, the Marmite Pokemon game within the community. I've played through Pokemon Black and White countless times and I always have such a fun experience when I do. The game has some incredible moments and for its time of release, pretty extraordinary cutscenes. One thing about these games that splits the community is the actual Pokemon themselves, more specifically, their designs. They're boring copies of older Pokemon, yada yada yada. Although I disagree with this as a whole, there are a few stinky looking Pokemon within these games. So I thought it would be fun to do a hardcore Nuzlocke on Pokemon Black using only the quote unquote worst designed Pokemon in the game according to TheGamer. Hold your noses, boys and girls, it's about to get stinky. We start off with a super cool introduction to our character's house. We then pan into the window where there seems to be a present waiting for us. Fortunately for us, there is a Pokemon inside for myself and our two rivals, Sharon and Bianca. Which brings us to our very first stinky Pokemon, Tepig. TheGamer ranked Emboar in the number 10 spot for the worst Pokemon design in Black and White. It's a hard disagree from me because I personally love the Tepig line and all of their designs, especially Emboar's shiny. I mean, come on. Getting straight into the thick of it, we take on our rivals in some Pokemon battles. Both are easily dealt with by our amazing little Tepig, but at the expense of everything in our room. Swiftly making our way out of the house before Mum sees us stay upstairs, we head to Professor Jupiter's lab, where we get to name our little pig boy. We name him Pepsi for no apparent reason and are treated to some good old Pokemon tutorials. Ah, I love this franchise. We eventually make it to Accumula Town, where some form of speech is happening. Probably some vegan dude, right? More power to you, I guess. Once the speech ends, a strange figure approaches us. Assuming he's trying to sell us some form of drug, we take him down quickly and scare him away. Hopefully we never see that guy again, huh? Onwards to Straighten City, where it was time to take on one of 3 gym leaders. Due to us selecting Tepig at the start of the game, the sadistic minds at Game Freak decided to change what type the first gym leader you take on specializes in. We picked a fire type starter, so the gym leader we will be taking on is Cress. Before we do that though, we do have the opportunity to grab another encounter. That encounter being Wait. What? Oh, I can't use that. Abracadabra, alakazam. Good. All fixed. We add Coca-Cola to the team as TheGamer ranked Simisear at number 9 on its list. With our team of 2, it's time to take on Cress. Cress's team consists of a Lillipup and a Panpour. Panpour being the main threat here, with our team of only Fire-type Pokemon. Let's get it. The battle starts with Chris's Lillipup up against Pepsi. We start by lowering the Lillipup's defense using Tail Whips as Cress opts for a workup, raising his attack and special attack. Not taking any chances, Pepsi connects with a tackle, bringing it into below half health. Lillipup then uses another workup, solidifying its death the following turn as Pepsi finishes off the little puppy with another tackle. But now, it's time for the real challenge, Panpour. Following in the dead puppy's footsteps, Panpour leads with a workup as we shoot back with a Tail Whip. The next turn we swap out into our Monkey Boy as Panpour fires off a powerful water gun, bringing Coca-Cola down to just 12 HP. But some is restored thanks to him holding an Oranberry. With not many options against a +1 water gunning Panpour, we decide to let Pansear fall, but not before trying to get a paralysis with a lick. Unfortunately, we don't get it, and Panpour becomes even more dangerous using workup once again. This is getting sticky. We try the same thing on the following turn, but to no avail. Panpour then ends Coca-Cola's suffering with one last water gun. Rippy dippy. But the battle isn't over yet as we send in Pepsi to avenge his carbonated brethren. Knowing that a tackle wouldn't be enough, we try to get another Tail Whip off on Panpour. We lower the monkey's defense as it hits back with an insane water gun. Knowing this will most likely be a reset, we opt for a tackle anyway, and the dumb water monkey goes for another workup. Pepsi then lands a tackle, but it's still not enough to take it out. Without a doubt, the next turn is not going to end well for us. But Panpour goes for yet another workup. The AI is truly on our side right now. One last tackle from Pepsi and the battle is won. Wow, that was stupid luck, but we take what we can get. And with that, we received the first gym badge of this run. We then went ahead and took part in some Dream Yard shenanigans, but no one watching this is here for that. All you need to know is Team Plasma equals bad. Got it? Nice. On to Route 3, where again we meet up with our boy Sharon. He challenges us to a battle, but it was nothing worth writing home about. Oshawott is taken out with a few tackles from Pepsi, and Sharon's Purloin was dealt with by Pepsi's Flame Wheels. Bianca and a little girl then come hurtling towards us, saying that those crafty Team Plasma guys are up to no good again in the cave. So, we go and sort them out. Sharon and I team up in some double battles and take the grunts out with ease before they run off scared. Thanks to those grunts, Pepsi gains enough XP to evolve into the roundest of boys, Pig Night. I love this thing. After making it through the route, we arrive in Necrene City. We make our way towards the museum located here, but are stopped by... Wait. Isn't that the drug dealer from before? Why, you little... We quickly show the drug dealer that this isn't the path he should be choosing by kicking his ass in a Pokemon battle. After the battle, we enter the museum and get ready to take on the second gym leader of this run, Lenora. Lenora's team is made up of a Herdier and a Watchog, scary Pokemon and super powerful movesets for this early in the game. With the gym puzzle out of the way, it's time to get busy. Lenora starts with her Herdier as we lead with our only Pokemon right now, Pepsi. Annoyingly, Herdier's ability lowers our attack straight off the bat, which puts us at a huge disadvantage for the rest of the battle, considering we can't switch. We start by setting up some defense curls, hoping to tank whatever Lenora throws at us. A takedown from the Herdier in the same turn still manages to do a fair chunk of damage even after defense increases. The following turn we fire off some arm thrusts but aren't able to knock out the Herdier. In the same turn, Herdier goes for a takedown but fortunately misses. Knowing that Lenora is going to heal in this turn, we decide to buff our defense even more with another defense curl. With Herdier back up to full health, Pepsi lands 2 arm thrusts, taking Herdier down to half health. It comes back with a takedown, but misses once again. With a chance to finish the doggo off, Pepsi hits some more arm thrusts, which just about manages to take down the Herdier. Now, for Watchog. Straight away, Watchog goes for a hypnosis, but luckily misses. Some free arm thrusts from Pepsi don't do a whole lot and only manage to hit twice. The next turn, Watchog hits a retaliate, which hurts, but Pepsi comes back with a flame charge, increasing its speed. Pepsi then outspeeds on the following turn and lands 3 arm thrusts, but it still isn't enough. Watchog then comes back with a retaliate, but doesn't do a whole lot this time. With Lenora out of healing items, one last flame charge from Pepsi is enough to win us our second gym badge of this run. We have been very lucky in both gym leader battles so far, so let's hope that luck continues. After winning our second gym badge, we head back upstairs to some more Team Plasma shenanigans. Always up to no good, those guys. They steal an artifact from the museum and we can't just stand around and let that unfold. We follow Team Plasma into the Pinwheel Forest, slowly taking down the grunts as we go. Luckily for us, we can get another encounter in the woods, but it's not an easy one. I spent a lot of time looking for this Pokemon, but eventually we found ourselves a powerful... Oh. It's you again. Damn it. Having another Pokemon on the team is always a plus, so I can't really complain. With that, Fanta joins the team and we got extremely lucky with it. Nature. Onto the main culprit from Team Plasma who stole the artifact from the museum. We rough him up a bit and he hands over the stolen head. We give it back to the rightful owner and head towards Castelia City. Just north of Castelia, we encounter our next team member, Darumaka. Darmanitan was ranked 8th on TheGamer's article for worst designed Pokemon, and I really have a hard time siding with this one. Darmanitan is awesome. Who made this article? Regardless, we catch the little fire nugget and name him Sprite.
Why is it spicy?
Taking a closer look at him, we could have had better luck, but we take what we can get at this point. Before we take on the next gym leader, Team Plasma are once again being a nuisance, and it's up to an 11-year-old boy to stop it. What a baffling concept. We take on some grunts, show them who's boss, and make our way into the next gym to take on Berg. Berg has a team of bug-type Pokemon, consisting of Whirlipede, Dwebble, and Leavanny. Considering we have a team of fire-type Pokemon, this should be a breeze. The battle begins with Berg's Whirlipede out against our boy Pepsi. Using the same strat we used against Lenora, we set up some defense curls, whilst the Whirlipede goes for a Poison Tail, which fortunately doesn't poison us. The next turn, a Flame Charge brings the Whirlipede down to the red and raises our speed as the Whirlipede fires back with a critical hit Poison Tail. Less of that please mate. Knowing Berg will heal on this turn, we take the opportunity to raise our defense even more with another defense curl. The following turn, another Flame Charge from Pepsi brings Whirlipede back down to where it was, as it comes back with another Poison Tail, bringing Pepsi into a dangerous amount of HP. Berg then uses his last Super Potion on Whirlipede, giving us a free kill in the next couple of turns. With Whirlipede down, out comes Dwebble. A Flame Charge from Pepsi takes Dwebble down to half health, and a laughable smackdown from Dwebble in the same turn does minuscule damage. Dwebble is then dealt with on the next turn with one more Flame Charge. Now, for Leavanny. Thanks to our Flame Charges, Pepsi is much quicker than Berg's Ace, and is able to completely destroy Leavanny with a stab quad effective Flame Charge. And with that, we get ourselves the 3rd gym badge of this run. Back to the north of Castelia City where Sharon meets us for a battle, but once again, nothing crazy happens. Eventually we make it to Nimbasa City where the most important part of the games take place. Dressing up your Pokemon! Ooh, just look at that handsome devil. What a man. What a man. We then see another domestic between these two before we head towards the next gym. However, we decided to take a little detour and get ourselves a little present for Fanta. You see, to evolve our little fire monkey, we need a firestone. It just so happens that a guy in Castelia is giving out these stones for free. We head back to Castelia, pick up a firestone, and evolve Fanta into, well, whatever this is. One of the Pokemon that I actually agree with the gamer about, this thing is hideous. Back to Nimbasa, and it's time to take on the next gym leader. Really, man? How many times do I have to tell you I don't want your services? After the weirdest fair ride I've ever experienced, we are finally able to take on the next gym leader, Alessa. Her team consists of 2 Emolga and a Zebstrika, a team that can definitely cause some problems, so let's get into it. Alessa begins with one of her Emolga as we lead good old reliable Pepsi. Emolga hits us straight away with a pursuit, which doesn't do a lot. Pepsi fires back with a flame charge, bringing Emolga down to the orange. The next turn, Emolga hits a huge aerial ace, but Pepsi is able to tank it and knock out the Emolga with one more flame charge. Not taking any chances on the next turn, we swap Pepsi out for Fanta. Fanta is hit with an aerial ace on the switch, but handles it relatively well. On the next turn, Fanta connects with a flame burst and completely annihilates the Emolga with a critical hit. You may be ugly, but damn, you are powerful, my boy. Alessa then sends out her final Pokemon, Zebstrika. Zebstrika starts off with the powerful spark as Fanta comes back with another flame burst, bringing Zebstrika down to half health. Another spark from Zebstrika connects on the next turn and nearly finishes Fanta off. Even with Fanta paralysed from the spark, he powers through, landing a flame burst which manages to knock the Zebstrika out. Wow, I have been way too lucky with these gym battles. It's 100% going to catch up to me. But with that, the 4th gym badge is now ours. Heading east, we once again encountered Sharon, who is, as always, eager to battle. Once again, his team really poses no threat to us, considering we are not doing too hot on the type coverage side. You would think I'm doing a fire-only run, but I promise, things get way better from here. A few more bits of story involving Order and Alessa, but then it's straight into... wow. Such beauty. After creaming over a cutscene, it was finally time to get our next encounter, that being this thing. Swanna was listed on the gamer's list of worst designed Gen 5 Pokemon, beating out all others on the list at the number 1 spot. Honestly, I think that's kind of harsh, but either way, I'm just happy to have it on the team. We catch the Ducklet and name him Red Bull. Get it? Because it has wings. Red Bull gives you whatever. At the end of the bridge, Clay is rambling on about something, but we don't have time to waste as we have a date with... oh, never mind. We've been roped into completing some ice puzzles and beating up Team Plasma again. Whoopee! One good thing to come out of this section of the game is an encounter. That encounter being Vanillite. Vanilluxe places at the number 4 spot on the list, and yeah, this ranking is slightly more understandable than some others on the list. It's hard to defend, it is quite literally an ice cream. But hey, coverage! After the boring story stuff, it was time to get yet another encounter. This time we are truly branching out with our type coverage as we encounter Foongus. Amoonguss placed at number 7 on the gamer's list, and once again, I can only disagree with this. It's a great design in my opinion, but each their own I suppose. We catch the fungi, or fungao I should say, and name her 7-Up. The fun doesn't stop there though, as we carry on teaming up with our buddies to foil Team Plasma's regime. Fortunately for us, this time they didn't want the smoke and made way for us, allowing us to enter the gym and take on Clay. Clay's team consists of a Krokorok, a Palpitoad, and his ace, Excadrill. Considering a majority of our team are fire types, this is going to be a tough one. Nevertheless, after some grinding, we head to Clay to take him on. Let's get it. The battle begins with Clay's Krokorok out against Bar the Vanillite. Krokorok kicks things off with a swagger annoyingly, but Bar is able to break through the confusion and connect with an Icy Wind, which does in fact knock the Krokorok out. Damn, this ice cream's good. Next out for Clay is a very scary Excadrill. Not taking any chances of a steel type move, we switch Bar out to 7-Up. Fortunately, on the switch, Excadrill's Rock Slide misses. The next turn, Excadrill begins to set up using Home Claws, boosting its already intimidating attack stat. 7-Up then connects with a Giga Drain, which doesn't do a whole lot of damage. The following turn, Excadrill's Rock Slide connects thanks to the accuracy boost from Home Claws, and it does massive damage to 7-Up. 7-Up fires back with another Giga Drain, but most definitely isn't going to survive any longer at this rate. With that in mind, we decide to swap into Fanta, who manages to take a slash from the Excadrill very well, all things considered. The next turn, Fanta outspeeds the Excadrill and connects with a Flame Burst, finishing it off for good. Phew, that could have been way more of a disaster. Clay then sends out his last Pokemon, Palpitoad, which, by the way, really does deserve to be on this list rather than some others. What the fuck, TheGamer? After some good old American smack talk from Clay, we switch out into Red Bull expecting either a water or ground attack. On the switch, Palpitoad actually goes for an Aura Ring, which isn't the worst case scenario for us. A Muddy Water from the Palpitoad the following turn does absolutely nothing to Red Bull, who comes back with an Air Slash, bringing Palpitoad down to just above half health. Thanks to the Aura Ring, Palpitoad is healed just ever so slightly. Not to worry though, as after a few more back and forths of Muddy Waters and Air Slashes, Red Bull takes flight and finishes off the Palpitoad with one more Air Slash. And with that, Clay has been beaten, giving us our 5th gym badge of this run. Heading west, we have yet another battle with Bianca. But to be perfectly honest with you, there is no point on going into detail about it. As for the rest of the rival battles, I'll only be covering the last one with Sharon, otherwise you'll just get bored. On to Chargestone Cave, where Clay once again displays his Americanness and destroys a poor Pokemon's web. That could have been a Pokemon's home, man. Trust me, you're not getting any oil from that thing. Inside the cave oh, for crying out loud, leave me alone! Nothing much really happens in the cave apart from a lot of battles, which really doesn't feel necessary covering. The biggest thing in the cave was our encounter in Klang, which we named Lipton, but after the cave shenanigans we reach the end where once again the weird drug dealer guy wants a battle. The battle is pretty easy considering Pepsi walls almost all of his team, so much so that Pepsi wanted to evolve straight after the battle, giving us a beautiful, in my opinion, Emboar. Finally, our number 10 boy is on the team. Eventually we set foot in Mistralton City, where we are introduced to Best Girl. But before we go any further on Best Girl, we head towards the Spiral Tower. Luckily for us, we can nab ourselves another encounter here, that being Litwick. Now, Chandelure is quite possibly in my top 5 favourite Generation 5 Pokemon. However, TheGamer ranked Chandelure at number 5 on their list of worst designed Generation 5 Pokemon. Like, what? Swanna I can kinda get, Simisear, yeah, alright, but Chandelure? Nah, you've lost me, man. Nonetheless, we catch our little candle friend and name him Ribena. Whilst travelling up the tower, our little fire nugget evolves into a mighty Darmanitan, and after meeting Skylar at the top of the tower for some private times, we head back down and have Bar evolve into Vanillish and Red Bull into Swanna. And with all of that, it's time to take on Skylar. Skylar's team consists of a Swoobat, Unpheasant, and a Swanna of her own. No easy team to take on, but let's see how we fare. The battle starts with Skylar's Swoobat up against Bar the Vanillish. In the first turn, Swoobat outspeeds and connects with a Heart Stamp, which doesn't do enough damage to worry about. Bar retaliates with an Ice Cream Beam, which completely decimates the Swoobat. Now onto Best Girl's Unpheasant. Unpheasant starts by setting up a Razor Wing, with Bar then coming out with a huge Ice Beam, killing off the ugly bird in one hit. Wow, Bar is a menace right now. Last but not least for Skylar is her Swanna. Swanna begins with an Aqua Ring as we go for an Icy Wind, whittling at the Swanna's HP whilst also lowering its speed. The next turn, Swanna hits Bar with a huge Aerial Ace, bringing Bar into the yellow. Another Icy Wind takes down the Swanna's speed even more. With Swanna's speed pretty low, Bar is able to outspeed on the next turn and connect with an Ice Beam, which does just enough to kill. An Ice Cream sweeping a bunch of birds. Who would have thought? And with that, the 6th gym badge is ours. Stepping out of the... Oh my... Okay, guy. I've given you enough chances. I am reporting you to the police right now. Heading east, we meet Sharon again for his daily butt whooping and head towards... Well, I guess this construction site? Maybe? It's another journey through a cave. The usual boring stuff happens. Something not so boring is 7-Up finally evolving into a Moongus. The team is now looking very sleek, and I have to say it's been a bunch of fun using these sorts of Pokemon, some of which I have never considered using before in a playthrough of Generation 5, so I would definitely highly recommend giving it a go. I'd also highly recommend hitting that like button down below, but that's up to you. Eventually we do make it out of the cave and immediately get another encounter for this run, Stunfisk. Yeah. Hard agree on this one, TheGamer. Stunfisk ranked at number 3 for the worst designed Pokemon in Generation 5. I think it's pretty justified. We catch the little monstrosity and give it the fitting name of, well, monster. With all of that travelling out the way, it's time for the 7th gym, baby. Whilst beating up some of the people in the gym, Lipton felt like evolving into Klang. The 7th gym leader is Bryson, who specialises in Ice-type Pokemon. His team consists of Vanillish, Beartic, and a Crayogonal. This shouldn't be too much of a problem thanks to our fiery boys and our one metal boy, but we shall see. The battle kicks off with Lipton up against Vanillish. Vanillish outspeeds on the first turn and hits a crit Frost Breath on Lipton. Lipton comes back with the same energy and lands a critical hit Gear Grind, taking the Vanillish out in one hit. Next out for Bryson is his ace Beartic. Beartic lands a Swagger on Lipton, boosting its attack stat whilst also confusing it. Although confused, Lipton breaks through and lands 2 massive Grind Gears on Beartic, finishing off Bryson's ace with ease. And now, last out is Cryogonal. Knowing that we're in danger of hitting ourselves in confusion and any move from a Cryogonal could finish Lipton off, we decide to switch out into our starter, Pepsi. Cryogonal goes for an Aura Beam, which doesn't do a whole bunch to the Pepsi. The following turn, Cryogonal goes for the same thing, whilst Pepsi hits back with a Flame Charge, which is more than enough to put the Cryogonal out of its misery. And with that, we have earned ourselves the 7th gym badge in this run. Stepping outside a gym after a battle must be bad luck because once again we are bombarded with people waiting outside for us. Sharon and Bianca want a little catch up, but we are once again ambushed by N's little rodents. A whole bunch of story stuff happens now that I'm sure you're all very aware of in these games. Running around the map of Unova trying to take down Team Plasma, but unfortunately we might be a little too late. Anyways, once all of that is out of the way, we move on to our next encounter, Shelmet. Shelmet comes in at the runner-up spot just behind Swanna on the gamer's list of worst Gen 5 Pokemon designs. I kind of get it, but I really like Excavalin's design. After naming Shelmet Mountain Dew, we head towards the infamous Opelucid City. Before we can get there though, some more Team Plasma shenanigans go down, but eventually we're able to set foot in this amazing city. We meet both Drayden and Iris, which is pretty cool, and prepare ourselves for the final gym battle in this run. Drayden specializes in the Dragon type. His team consists of Fracture, Drudigon, and an immensely scary Haxorus. We needed to do a lot of prepping for this battle, because the Dragon type prior to Generation 6 only had 2 weaknesses, Ice types and Dragon types, one of which we don't have possession of. However, our little ice cream cone boy is here to save the day, right? Right? Straight into the battle as Drayden sends out Fracture to start and we send out Bar. Immediately the Fracture begins to set up with a Dragon Dance, but Bar isn't wasting any time. Straight off with an Ice Beam to the face of Fracture and the baby dragon goes down in one hit. Next out for Drayden is Drudigon, Lego looking air. Not being intimidated by the Lego Dragon, Bar outspeeds and connects with an Ice Beam, which once again is enough to one-shot a Dragon Beast. Wow, Bar, you really are impressing me this run. Last out for Drayden is his almighty Haxorus. He starts things off with a Slash, which does huge damage to Bar. Bar retaliates with an Ice Beam and one-shots the Haxorus without a problem. Honestly, looking back on this run, Bar has been so important in a lot of these battles. What a Pokemon. With that perfect performance from Bar, we earn ourselves the 8th and final gym badge of this run. Now, there was only a few things standing in our way to winning this run. First on that list is our last rival battle with Sharon. The battle kicks off with Sharon's Unpheasant against Bar. Unpheasant whips up a Razor Wind but is immediately met with an Ice Beam from Bar, ending the ugly bird's life in a flash. Next out for Sharon is Simisit. Knowing it would be the dumbest decision to keep Bar out here, we switch into Red Bull, who takes a Flame Burst from Fire Monkey pretty well. On the next turn, Red Bull is met with another powerful Flame Burst, but fires back with a Surf, taking down the Simisit in one hit. Lipard is out next for Sharon, but with Red Bull on low HP, we switch into Pepsi, who is able to eat a Night Slash very nicely. A Slash from the Lipard the next turn does minimal damage to Pepsi, who comes back with a couple of Arm Thrusts, taking down the Lipard no problem. And last but not least for Sharon is Samurott. Once again taking no chances, we switch into 7-Up, who takes an Aqua Tailed pretty decently before getting the paralysis on Samurott thanks to its ability. The next turn, 7-Up outspeeds and hits a Giga Drain, taking Samurott down to the orange. It then comes back with a Slash, which doesn't do a whole bunch. And finally, 7-Up takes the win on the next turn with one last Giga Drain, defeating Sharon in our final rival battle. Yay! Now it's time for what we've all been waiting for. The Elite Four and... Is there a champion battle? Yeah, sure. Victory Road doesn't give us too much trouble apart from nearly losing Sprite to a Stoutland, but we got through it okay in the end. Whilst travelling through, Bar evolved into a double coned ice cream, which is great timing for what we have to come up against soon. As well as Bar evolving, we had Lipton evolve too into, well, whatever this is meant to be. But finally, we eventually make it out of Victory Road and onto the Pokemon League. Pokemon Black and White introduced a new system to Pokemon Game's Elite Fours, as you can choose which Elite Four member you want to take on first. Having the option to begin with whoever we wanted, I decided to take on Grimsley first. Grimsley's team consists of Scrafty, Crocodile, Lipard, and his ace, Bisharp. A Dart type Elite Four member with some crazy style. Let's get into the battle. Grimsley starts things off with his Scrafty as we lead with Red Bull. On the first turn, Red Bull outspeeds and hits a powerful Brave Bird, taking Scrafty into the red. Scrafty then comes back with a Sand Attack, but thanks to Red Bull's ability Keen Eye, our accuracy isn't lowered. The next turn, Grimsley heals Scrafty with a full restore as we opt for an Air Slash, which takes Scrafty down to the orange. One more Air Slash from Red Bull on the following turn takes the Scrafty down, giving us first blood in the Elite Four. Next out for Grimsley is Crocodile. We kick things off with a Surf which connects and completely decimates the sunglass wearing Crocodile. Wow, Red Bull, you are insane. Out next is Lipard. Wanting to keep Red Bull's health high, we switch into our starter Pepsi, who eats up Lipard's first Night Slash easily. The next turn, Lipard is feeling a bit saucy and uses Attract, which is super annoying, as in the same turn Pepsi is immobilized by Love. What a simp. The following turn, Pepsi's Quick Claw activates and allows us to attack first with a Flame Charge, not being immobilized by Love this time. The Flame Charge connects and does massive damage, bringing Lipard down to the orange. An Aerial Ace from Lipard in the same turn deals huge damage to Pepsi with a critical hit. Not taking any more chances, we swap Pepsi out for Lipton, who tanks the incoming Aerial Ace like a pro. The next turn we outspeed the Lipard and hit a Discharge, but it still isn't enough to take the cat out. Another Night Slash from Lipard does minimal damage on the same turn. Grimsley then decides to heal Lipard up as Lipton connects with some Gear Grinds, which is just enough to end the cat's 9th life. Last but not least for Grimsley is his ace, Bishop. A Discharge from Lipton doesn't do a whole lot of damage to Bishop as it comes back with a laughable Night Slash. The same happens on the next 2 turns with both Pokemon slowly whittling away at each other's health. Eventually we decide that a crit here from Bishop is way too risky, so we switch into Sprite. Sprite comes in and is immediately hit with a very powerful Night Slash, bringing it down to only 18 HP. A Fire Punch on the next turn from Sprite takes down the pesky Bishop and solidifies our first Elite Four win in this run. With Grimsley defeated, we make our way towards the next Elite Four member, Caitlyn. Caitlyn is a Psychic type Elite Four member whose team is made up of a Reuniclus, Sigilyph, Musharna, and a Gothitelle. Let's see how we get on. Caitlyn starts with her Reuniclus as we send out Sprite. On the first turn, Sprite connects with a Fire Fang, taking Reuniclus down to the orange, as it fires back with a very powerful Psychic which also lowers our special defense. The next turn, we land a Fire Punch on the Reuniclus, taking it out for good. Next out for Caitlyn is Gothitelle. With Sprite on low health, we swap him out for good old Lipton, who takes a Psychic straight away. The following turn, Lipton lands some Gear Grinds, which take Gothitelle down to the orange before she starts to set up a Calm Mind. Not to worry though, as another 2 Gear Grinds from Lipton on the next turn are enough to take the Gothitelle out. With 2 Pokemon down, Caitlyn sends out her Musharna. Knowing that Musharna is very capable of knocking some of our Pokemon out, we switch Lipton out for the MVP right now, Bar. In the same turn, Musharna sets up a Reflect, raising its team's defense. Bar fires off an Ice Cream Beam as Musharna retaliates with a respectable Psychic. One more Ice Cream Beam from Bar the following turn is enough to take out the Musharna. On to Caitlyn's last Pokemon, Sigilyph. Sigilyph is able to outspeed Bar on the first turn and connect with a Psychic, bringing Bar into a very dangerous position. Not to worry though, as an Ice Cream Beam from our MVP in the same turn is enough to one-shot the Sigilyph and defeat Caitlyn. This is why I have a newfound respect for the Vanillite line. Bar is insane. With Caitlyn down, we are halfway through taking on the Elite Four. Will we make it much further? Let's find out. Our next Elite Four member is Marshall. Marshall has a fighting type team, with it consisting of Throw, Sork, Conkeldurr, and Mienshao. Some really heavy hitting Pokemon which we really need to be careful of. The battle begins with Marshall's Throw up against our boy Sprite. Outspeeding Throw on the first turn, Sprite lands a Fire Punch, taking Throw into the orange. Throw comes back with a super effective Bulldoze, but Sprite takes it reasonably well. Even with a speed drop, Sprite still outspeeds the next turn, and one more Fire Punch is enough to take down Throw. Next up for Marshall is Sork. Not wanting anyone to take a hit, we decide to switch into 7-Up due to bulk. 7-Up comes in and tanks a Stone Edge from Sork like a champ. A Stone Edge from Sork misses in the next turn, giving us a free opportunity to land a Toxic. The following turn, Sork connects with a Stone Edge, but doesn't do a whole lot of damage to 7-Up, who comes back with a Giga Drain, slowly but surely chipping away at Sork's health. Another Stone Edge from Sork hits 7-Up, but that HP is taken back thanks to a critical hit Giga Drain in the same turn. Conkeldurr is then brought out for Marshall. We land a Toxic on the Conkeldurr, and it's time to cheese once again. The following turn, Conkeldurr misses a Stone Edge as we use Synthesis, bringing our HP back up to the green. A Stone Edge and a misclick from me on the next turn doesn't change the tide of the battle all too much. The next turn, Conkeldurr lands another Stone Edge and nearly takes 7-Up out with a crit, only living on 9 HP. A Giga Drain and poison damage combination from 7-Up just about gets the kill on Conkeldurr. Wow, that was far too close for my liking. Last out for Marshall is Mienshao. With not too many options, we swap 7-Up out for Red Bull, who is hit with a super powerful rock slide straight away. This is not good. Knowing that Mienshao is fast and could probably one-shot a lot of our team, we decide to have Red Bull go out kamikaze style, hitting Mienshao with a Brave Bird. Red Bull was super important on this team and it sucks that it went out the way it did. You will be missed, mate. But with the sad loss of Red Bull, we win against Marshall in our third Elite Four battle. Only one more member awaits us, and that is Chantel. Chantel is a ghost type specialist with a team of Kofagrigus, Jellison, Golurk, and Chandelure. Chandelure may cause some problems as Red Bull would have been a perfect matchup for it, but it is what it is. Let's get into it. Chantel starts off with Kofagrigus as we lead with Sprite. Sprite kicks things off with a Fire Fang, which manages to crit and knock out the Kofagrigus. Well, that's one way to start a battle, I guess. With the Ghost Coffin down, Chantel sends out Golurk next. Assuming a ground type move is coming up next, we switch into Bard of Vanillux, who is hit with a powerful Earthquake in the same turn. Not to worry though, as a classic Ice Cream Beam from Bar is more than enough to take the Golurk out in one hit. Chantal then sends out her Chandelure. Although Bar is in great form right now, I wouldn't feel comfortable chancing his life against the Chandelure. So we switch back into Sprite, who manages to dodge a Fire Blast from the Chandelure. Even though not very effective, Sprite hits a Fire Fang for some decent damage as Chandelure fires back with a Shadow Ball, dealing huge damage to Sprite. We go again with a Fire Fang on the next turn, taking Chandelure into knockout range. Chandelure then hits a Psychic, and Sprite goes down. I am 100% certain there was a much better way of handling this part of the battle, but I was just super scared of this Chandelure from the start, and I didn't really have a game plan for it. I will take the blame for this one. Rest in peace, my little fire nugget. The only real option right now is Pepsi, who comes out to avenge his fire-type brother. Chantal uses one of her full restores on Chandelure this turn as Pepsi hits an Assurance, taking Chandelure down to half health. The next turn, Chandelure lands a super effective Psychic on Pepsi, but Pepsi just about hangs in there, retaliating with another Assurance, which is just enough to take out the Chandelure. Phew! Last out for Chantal is Jellison. We swap Pepsi out for 7-Up as it's hit with a Brine on the first turn. The next turn, Jellison outspeeds and lands a Shadow Ball, but 7-Up is able to tank it. 7-Up then unfortunately misses a Toxic in the same turn. Jellison does much of the same, hitting 7-Up with another Shadow Ball, but this time 7-Up connects with the Toxic. The next turn we swap out into Lipton, who is hit with a Shadow Ball straight away. A super effective discharge from Lipton on the next turn does little damage to the Jellison, who comes back with a powerful Surf. Taking a risk, we go for another discharge, hoping to get a high roll, but it's not enough. Jellison comes back with another Surf and Lipton falls. Chantal's Jellison is then hurt by the poison, doing just enough to take it out. We won the battle and made it through the Elite Four members, but we lost 3 very important team members along the way. With the Elite Four completed, it was time to head towards the Champion Room. All of our hard work comes down to this moment right here. Only the champion awaits us and our team of 3. Will we achieve glory? Or will our dreams be crushed by... Are you serious right now? What are you doing here? Why is the drug dealer here? Why? It turns out that the drug dealer has already defeated the champion, Alder. With that, N enacts his plan of becoming the ruler of Unova and proceeds to destroy the Pokemon League to make room for his castle. Little side note, these cutscenes back in the day were absolutely incredible, and reliving that feeling I had back then when I was first seeing them, it feels so good. These games are amazing and they deserve a lot more praise. Eventually the drug dealer dips and we head in after him with a team consisting of 3 living Pokemon and 3 corpses. Luckily though, we do get access to a PC and healing when making our way through the castle. Thanks to this, we were able to take some Pokemon that we haven't yet used from the PC and add them to the team. After a bit of grinding, we have Ribena the Litwick evolve into Lampent, then onto a powerful Chandelure, and Mountain Dew the Shelmet into a Selgor. We also had no other choice but to add this thing to the party. That's how bad it is right now, guys. It's dire. Nonetheless, with our team ready to take down N and his evil empire, we head on up to the top of the castle. We enter the room where N is, as he waits there, ready for our arrival. He starts spewing some BS about liberating Pokemon and all that jazz, yada yada yada, but then... Zekrom is just too cool. After another cutscene involving White Zekrom, it was time to take on the man himself, N. Let's get it, you druggy. N begins with his legendary Pokemon Zekrom as we send out Bar, the Vanillux. Zekrom outspeeds on the first turn and hits Bar with an insane Fusion Bolt. Bar, being the beast that he is, tanks the Fusion Bolt and hits an Ice Cream Beam in the same turn, taking Zekrom out in only one hit. With Zekrom down, out comes Klinklang. We decide to swap out into Pepsi in the next turn, allowing Klinklang to hit a free Focus Blast, which does a whole lot of damage. The next turn, another Focus Blast from Klinklang takes Pepsi down to the orange, as a Flame Charge takes Klinklang. Oh, you son of a bitch. I've been had. Not to worry though, as N goes for a full restore on the Zoroark and Pepsi hits another powerful Flame Charge, further boosting its speed in the process. The next turn, Pepsi's Quick Claw pops and allows him to hit Zoroark with one last Flame Charge, taking it out for good. Next out for N is Caracosta. With an easy opportunity to switch into 7-Up, we take the chance as 7-Up is hit with an Aqua Jet. The next turn, 7-Up lands a Giga Drain, but Caracosta's sturdy ability leaves it hanging on by a slither. It then comes back with a Stone Edge, which does a decent chunk. One final Giga Drain from 7-Up on the next turn is enough to take out the Caracosta. N's next Pokemon is Vanillux. Another easy switch to Ribena as the Ice Cream Boy sets up a Hail. The following turn, Ribena is hit with a critical hit Frost Breath, but hits back with a powerful Flamethrower, ending the Vanillux with one hit. N's penultimate Pokemon, Archeops, is out next. We switch into Monster, who is able to dodge a Stone Edge from Archeops straight away. The next turn, Monster is hit with a Crunch, but is able to make himself useful and hits Archeops with a Thunderbolt, one-shotting the fossilized Burb. I still hate the way you look though. And now, N's last Pokemon, Klinklang. For real. Klinklang comes out swinging as it goes for a Hyper Beam right off the rip, taking Monster down to the orange. Monster then lands a Mud Bomb, which leaves the gears with a slither of health. The next turn, Klinklang has to recharge due to it using Hyper Beam the previous turn, and Monster is able to get the KO with one last Thunderbolt. And with that, N has been defeated, making us the new champion of Unova.
That's all, folks.
Apparently the vegan guy from earlier on in the game, if you remember that, he doesn't like the look of our Pokemon. Apparently neither does TheGamer. So much so that he wants to defeat us in a battle. Let's throw some hands then. Ghetsis leads with Cofagrigus as we start with Bar. An Ice Cream from Bar takes Cofagrigus down to the red, and it comes back with a toxic, poisoning poor Bar. Ghetsis then uses the next turn to heal the Ghost Coffin as Bar shoots another Ice Cream Beam at Cofagrigus, taking it back down to the red. Ghetsis is playing dirty and tries to Toxic Stall our Ice Cream Boy by protecting on the next turn. However, it's not enough, as Bar is able to hit the Cofagrigus on the following turn with one more Ice Beam. Next out for Ghetsis is his scariest Pokemon, Hydreigon. This is where I made the hardest decision in the entire run. Bar has been such an amazing Pokemon, and as silly as it sounds, I really do love this thing now. There was no safe option on who to switch into at this point. Someone had to go down, and unfortunately, Bar was in the wrong place at the wrong time. A Dragon Pulse from Hydreigon connects and leaves Bar with 0 HP. Bar, you will always be a legend in these parts. Rest easy. Now, let's do this for Bar. Mountain Dew is the first out to try and avenge his frozen brother. We outspeed and hit the 3-headed dragon with a Bug Buzz, which does a huge amount of damage. Hydreigon then fires back with a Fire Blast, but Mountain Dew is able to survive. Another Bug Buzz from Mountain Dew in the next turn brings down the 3-headed dragon. That was for Bar. Out next is Bishop. A U-turn from Mountain Dew takes Bishop down to around half health as we send in Pepsi. Pepsi is then hit with a Stone Edge, which manages to crit, doing a huge amount of damage. Pepsi's Quick Claw then activates on the following turn and lands some arm thrusts, completely destroying the Bishop. Next out for Ghetsis is Bufalon. Bufalon hits like a truck, and no one in our team would be able to take it right now. So we make another hard decision and sack off Pepsi, our starter. Although we outspeed on the next turn, we only managed to connect with 2 arm thrusts, allowing Bufalon to hit us with a massive head charge, taking Pepsi out. You've been with us from the start, and you've done so well. Thank you, Pepsi. We send out Ribena to take on the murderous Bufalon next. A Flamethrower from Ribena is enough to take it out on the next turn. Out comes Seismitoad next for Ghetsis. We swap Ribena out for 7-Up as the Seismitoad sets up a Rain Dance. With Seismitoad's speed raised thanks to its ability Swift Swim, we most definitely will not be outspeeding it. Seismitoad goes for an Earthquake on the following turn as 7-Up lands a Giga Drain, leaving the Toad with only a slither of HP. Another Earthquake from Seismitoad isn't enough to take 7-Up out and is then taken down with one more Giga Drain from 7-Up. And now, for Ghetsis' last Pokemon, Electros. Electros starts off with an acrobatics dealing massive damage to 7-Up. Fortunately, 7-Up is able to land a Toxic on Electros in the same turn. We then swap out into Monster for safety as the Electros hits another acrobatics, only doing a small amount to Monster. The following turn I did a Dum Dum and tried to go for a Mud Bomb on a Pokemon that is notorious for having the Levitate ability. Fortunately, Electros doesn't have the moveset in this battle to deal too much damage to Monster. The next turn, Electros hits another Crunch as Monster connects with a Muddy Water. However, the combination of Muddy Water and Toxic Poison still isn't enough to kill the Eel. Another Crunch from Electros on the next turn doesn't leave a scratch on Monster as he retaliates with another Muddy Water. And with that, we have defeated Ghetsis. Can you beat Pokemon Black using only the worst designed Generation 5 Pokemon? Yes. Yes, you can. Thank you all very much for watching. This has been a video that I've had in the locker for a few months now, but since I lost motivation to make videos a few months ago, it's just never been touched. I've slowly started to gain back a love for content creation, but I still won't be making a big comeback, so to speak. I'm just very appreciative of those of you who are kind enough to sit through these videos. They are a lot of fun to make and I enjoy watching them back, but they take forever to actually make. I just hope that you all enjoy them as much as I do. By the looks of my most recent videos, that seems to be the general consensus, so I'm happy with that. The mini update is basically me saying, I'll be making videos, but they won't be as frequent as they once were. I'll make them when I get that urge to make content. A feeling I'm sure is shared with a lot of my content creator mutuals. Anyways, I'm yapping. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you in the next one.